All right, hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to be doing something a little different today. I have been doing some 3D scanning videos, but my interests are not just that. I also like to find really good designs out in the world and try and copy them myself, try to learn from them, try to implement them into just my own ideas. And so today I found something really cool that I think we can customize. Christmas is right around the corner, so this would be perfect for that if you want to follow along and create your own. But this is just some things that I go through in my procedural modeling program of choice. And I know there's a lot of free stuff, there's a lot of paid stuff. I'm using Fusion 360, but I know you can even set up Blender to be procedural because we are going to be working with some real world units. And let's jump right in. I think it's going to be cool. All right, so here we are. I have found a Yeti brick bottle opener. Lovely name, by the way. I love that name. But look at that. It's a brick. This looks dope. Like, I want this. Do I want to pay $50 for it? I mean, kind of. Okay, so let's jump over into Fusion 360 and create our own custom things based off this. So what we need to do is we're going to start by creating some parameters. And I'm sure you can do this in other programs, but this is my process for Fusion that I have found works. So we're going to say this is the opener width, and we're going to change that to inches. The other things I want to also add is you can see this edge right here. So I'm going to call that edge. And we're just going to guess how many millimeters. I think it's like 3-ish. Going to add that. All right, there's also this cutout. This inset looks about the same size. So I'm going to use the edge as the cutout depth right there. But I think that's pretty much what we need to start with for now. I also like to add a tolerance. But for this one, for the multi-material part, we'll get into the tolerances later. I'm actually going to do that in the slicer instead of here. So normally I would like a tolerance of like minus 0.2. So that way, basically, if I create something, I know I need to shrink it by 0.2. So that way parts can fit together on my printer. So I'll usually add that to my parameters as well. But that is a good starting point. All right, so let's go ahead and create a sketch. I'm going to put it on this face right here, the front face, just because that is what I find to be the print bed. When I bring my prints into Cura, that's where the print bed is going to be. And so we want to create this lying on the print bed. Okay, so let's give it a base sketch. Basically just get general parameters for our reference. And this would be the opener height. That side. So that is where our stuff is going to live, everything inside of there. And the first thing we're going to put in there after we finish the sketch is a canvas. And this is basically just a screenshot of this. I've already clipped it out. So we're going to stick it on that same face. You can click and hold to put it on that face right there. And we're going to scale it until it fits right inside the rectangle. That image is a little hard to see, but we're going to work with it. It's about where it wants to live. All right, so we can start designing our stuff. So I'm going to create another sketch. So that's basically just how we can set up general parameters so that way we have somewhere to work with in the correct dimensions. So that rectangle is there for the picture, then everything else is going to be actually our design. All right, so we created another sketch. We're going to put it on the XY plane. Move it over. Okay, there we go. All right, let's start creating another rectangle because that'll define most of our opener. So this would be the opener width, and then you can tab for the opener height. And so that is referencing our parameters. So that's pulling these numbers, and it's handy to have these because if I wanted to, I can make this a much longer opener and it would automatically update over here, and everything that's constrained will actually follow unless it's broken. But we're not going to worry about that right now. So we're just going to create a circle, which is going to be this back edge right here. And what I like doing is tangenting that to my edges. So that way, this will always follow the size of your square All right, so let's get this angle right here. So it looks like it's pointing basically where this edge meets the wall here is where this angle is going to go, or start anyway. So we're going to make that an edge height. And this isn't going to be a Fusion tutorial, so follow along as best you can if you're in Fusion or another program. But if you're an expert, you already know what I'm doing. Another thing I'm going to do is, where is it going to end? It looks like it's going pretty much the same place, but over here, like, let's see, we're going to do something. It doesn't have to be perfect because we can change it how we like, but I'm going to tangent that circle. So basically, we're going to have the edge corner right here be the endpoint for our curve. Boop. There we go. And that's pretty close. I'm good with that. And then it looks like it ends somewhere around here. So this will probably just be a sketched dimension at a set size. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's make it like a 13. 13 shows up in like so many designs I find, like the number 13. Plus it's like a dope number, so one of my favorite ones anyway. Not that you needed to know that, but we're going to do that. And we're going to set this dimension. And I have already looked up what a bottle cap is. Like the dimensions of a bottle cap is about 32 millimeters. So we're going to set that to 32 millimeters. And you can see that little lip right here. That doesn't quite go up as high as this, but we can make it do that. So that, create that little bump out there. We'll tangent it to that corner. Do edge divided by 2, edge divided by 2. Okay, looks like it might need a little more. Just edge height. So that way, in a later process, when we start getting this part right here, this little outer groove, we can actually match it up to that. So I think that's pretty much it to start with. That looks pretty good. We can start from here. We can start extruding and beveling and chamfering to our heart's content. All right, so let's finish that because we have that little cutout and we have that whole thing and we can always poke a hole. Cool. We are ready to start extruding. Let's look for a different view. I've hidden our first sketch and let's start extruding. Let's see, we don't need those bits, but we need pretty much everything else. So you can select everything, but we can also just click and drag and say no thank you to those bits and no thank you to that bit. Cool. And the depth of this is 0.75, but we're going to half that because later we're going to mirror the groove so I don't have to do as much work. Alrighty. So I'm going to bring that sketch back up. Okay, so let's now poke that hole right there. So we're going to create a hole. We're going to say it's in the middle of that sketch. Let's say it is the height minus the edge. There we go. Yes. So that's the hole size I want. Cool. Okay, so now let's create some fillets to get that nice curve here in the bottle opener section. All right, and this one's kind of cool, actually. I'm going to start here and here on those corners. Whoops. Stop it. There, on those corners. And we can start dragging to kind of try to match that edge. It's too much. About a 4.5, no. Too much. Here we go. 4. Yes, that's a nice curve. Let's add another one. And what I found is actually as you go down this edge, they started with a 4, and then it goes to like a 2, and then it goes to a 1, and then it goes to a half. So they halved the curve every time. Let's see if we can see that a little better. Hidden edges. That looks really nice. They have that curve every time, and that looks really cool. So that's something I'm going to take into some of my next programs, my next models, is taking those rules where like, oh, start with a big curve, have it for the next curve, have it for the next curve, have it for the next curve. So as you can see, we've started here, 4, 2, 1, half. That's pretty nice. Good job, designers. So since that one's a 4, I'm going to add one, hit Control, add that corner to the 2. And we're also going to do it to these ones as well. I think those are also 2s. Yeah, those are some nice 2s. Good, good. That looks beautiful. I'm going to hide that sketch. We're going to hide the canvas for now, because I think from now, we're just going to kind of eyeball it, because that looks sweet. All right, so now we can start creating a shell, because we want that edge around here. And that edge, we'll just type in the edge. Oh, look at that. We're already looking great. It's a little deep, but that looks really nice. Okay, so, yep, we're on it on the inside. Just leave it as is. Okay, so now to fix this back to the height we want to extrude this lower plane down here. And we want it to be a specific distance from that top face. So we're going to say we're going to go to an object, say this top face, and the offset is going to be minus the edge. So now your edge height is exactly the depth of that. And we're going to say join. Yep. Great. So that is half of our model right there. And we can do some extra fun stuff. You can see there's a chamfer and a bevel over here. So we're going to add both of those right now. So we're going to start with the chamfer. I would say let's edge. Let's see. That might actually be a little deep. Let's do edge divided by 2. Yeah, that looks... All right, cool. But I don't like this right here. I think we need to make a thicker edge. Let's bring our canvas back up. Yeah, it looks like the edge could be a little thicker. So this is why we set up parameters, because we just changed the parameter. Say our edge is now going to be 4 mils. Awesome. I'm going to change that to actually be half an edge. Yeah. Okay. We also need to get this inner curve right here. You can see on the canvas those inner curves. So let's create another fillet. A fillet. Select all those harsh corners. Nice, nice, nice. And let's see. It's probably going to be a 1, or it might be a 2. Looks like a 1.5, but I think we're going to make it a 2. No, we'll make it a 1. Yeah, we'll make it a 1. I like that. Make it a 1 inch, because we had the 2 on the outside. Half of that is a 1. We're learning. This one, ooh, I might change that one. So let's change that one to be a 2. So we'll unselect those. I'm hitting Control to unselect. We'll add another selection. Click those 2. We'll say it's 2. I mean, we could set up parameters for multipliers and just multiply it by something, but I think I want a sharper curve in here than they have, and about the same right here. I likes it. Cool. We can move on from there. Let's create another chamfer over here, because when you are printing stuff, this is also going to be on the back side. You don't want to have a bevel that's sitting on your bed. Yeah, you don't want to have a bevel that's sitting on your build plate, because that soft curve is going to look terrible and chewy. So you want to start with a chamfer and then bevel that. So we're going to do that. So a chamfer bevel. So let's see. We'll take our rules of halves. We'll start with that 0.5, because we had 1s, and we're going to do it half. Might as well. And we'll give it to this side as well. Or actually, we're not going to do it to this side, because I want to set this up as a multi-material print. And so I'm going to stick something in there after I've customized the name. So that'll be something we'll work on later. So let's give it a fillet. And do here. And we're going to give that another 0.5 inches. I don't want that. 1? Yes, 1's good. Cool. So as you can see, we'll finish that. Let's do an inspect, and we'll do a section analysis, so that way we can see exactly what that is doing for us. So look at that. So that's going on build plate, and then you chamfer it and then fillet it. looks good. So that way it doesn't have a soft overhang that gets messed up. Cool. All right, back over here. Let's bring this up again. We'll add another fillet right here. Is that a 1? Oh, that looks like a 2. That's a good 2. Cool. So I guess we're sticking with 4s, 2s, 1s, and halves inches. The inch dimensions. All right, so now let's create the mirror of this, because this is pretty much done to this point. Don't need the canvas. Let's create a mirror of this body. The mirror plane is going to be click and hold the XY plane. Oh, look at that. Yes, we want to join it. Oh, yeah, that looks great. We're already, like, we could be done here, but we're not going to be. We're going to make it even spicier because this is getting good. All right, let's, I don't know, I clicked extrude. I want to create a sketch or here. And this is where we're going to do our customization. All right, so let's customize this because I want this for me. Y'all got to make your own, okay? But anyway, we're going to snap it to the middle of this curve. And then I'm not clicking and dragging, just click the once, snap to the middle of that curve. So that way I can do it in exactly the same place on the other side. So I'm going to say MHM for MileHighMaker. And Arial Black, I have found, I've already done this before, can you tell? So Arial Black looks pretty close to that. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but make sure that this can print well. Whatever text you're going to put on, you need it to print well. And you're going to have stuff that goes over it if you want multi-material, stuff that goes around it. So I'll show you how to set that up, but you want to make sure that whatever letters you put on here, like if you do 3 letters, nice and chunky. You can do someone's initials. This will be great. Height 11 matched pretty well. Let's look at the canvas. Yeah, that you can kind of see the Yeti starting over there and ending over there. But yeah, that's basically good to go. Look at that. We are ready to customize even further. All right, we are ready to go to the next step. Okay, finish that sketch. Let us extrude our sketch. Show it up again, please. MHM, and we want it to go out to an object, which is this front face right there. Look at that. It looks good. Yes, join, please, and thank you. Okay, we don't need that canvas anymore. Let's see, we don't need that anymore. Cool. Let's do this on the other side, because even though my logo is mirrored, your initials or whatever you put on here is probably not going to be a perfect mirror. So you're going to want another sketch doing the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, let's, whoops, not a sketch. I want text sketch. Text. There you go. I feel like my cadence has changed a bit. Getting a little more loose. Getting more used to this. I'm liking it. MHM. Yep, keeping all the same stuff in the center, in the middle. We're not flipping or nothing. Cool. Don't need to mess with the spacing. We are going to finish that sketch. And extrude. Let's see, we don't want everything, just you, to an object, which will be this face. Oh, looky there, we're joining it. Beautiful. Let's look at just shaded or visible edges. Yeah, there we go. That is looking great.
It was at this moment that he knew.
It looks a little iffy. I think this got messed up. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the height should actually be the depth of the opener to cut through it, and that diameter should actually be the opener height. Actually, the opener, yeah, the height, because we want to take that and smoosh it into a hole. Because I'm basically taking this height. Yes, I want to cut that, but to a specific amount, which is the edge amount multiplied by 2. Because there's an edge on the top and the bottom, so I got to account for that. Cool. Still looking a little funky. I think we need to add space for that chamfer. So let's double that. Or actually, let's triple that. Because the chamfer is about half of that. So let's triple it. That's looking better, but I think we need to move that to a different spot, the edge. Extra bit. So stick that back to 2. And we can put that after our punch out. Let's see. Grab a push pull. I'm going to make some extra space for that area. Adding another edge thickness. We'll actually have that. Okay, cool. Let's see how that looks. All the way down. All the way down. That is looking much more even. Yes, now we're looking even. Okay, back to cooking with grease. Okay, so now let's create the insets. That's going to go right in here. And as you can see with the highlighted thing, this is a great place to start from. But before we get there, and as you can see by the highlight area, it's going to go right in that section, but we need to round off some of these corners because 3D printers do not create sharp corners very well, if at all. So we've got to go through each letter and we're going to fillet each letter. And I think I'm going to fillet the inside corners a little different. These ones are going to be pretty sharp, so I'm going to fillet those differently than all these outer harsh corners. So we're going to select all those. All right, we're going to skip ahead because you don't need to see me clicking on everything. Okay, so we've selected all the corners on each half of this. And let's start with a millimeter. That's too much, so we're going to stick to our halves and our doubles, so that 5.1 or that 0.5, 1, 2, and 4, but 0.5 look great there. And I think we can just add some of these sharp ones as another half of that, so like a 0.25, because we're going for halves and doubles. Ooh, yes. Looks good. Okay, so let's add these points to it. Yes. Ooh. Yes. Look at that. That could definitely pass for some type of stamped metal. Speaking of that, let's see how it looked like as metal. We'll finish that. We'll open our bodies. Let's actually rename it while we're here. Let's see. Cool. And let's also save this while we're here. Because if it crashes, that would be really bad and we would lose all of our beautiful work. Cool. All right, let's change the appearance of this. And let's look for, actually, let's look for steel. Nice satin would be good. Look at that. That looks great. Look at that. I could sell that right now. All right, let's get back to it. Cool, because we're almost there, but we need to get that insert. Now we have all those rounded corners. Let's extrude to, yes, we want it to be a new body, to this outer face again. And it's not a join, it's a new body. There we go. And look at that. Now we have an insert right there, all by its lonesome. Now we're not going to give it a tolerance, which normally I would do, because I'm actually going to show you how to do this in the slicer, and it's basically just a simple wall manipulation. And we're going to do this on the other side as well, because you're going to have to do it for your other side, especially if it's different letters. You're going to have to actually, you know, mirror that, because it's not going to be perfect unless you wanted two different textures on the one side, which, I mean, it could work, but we're going to do this way. All right, extrude that to an object. It's gonna be a new body. Yep, there we go. Look at that. That looks sweet. That looks really nice. Look at that. Probably making you dizzy. It's looking so good. All right, let's go back. This is looking a little off. This bit right here is looking a little chunky. So let's go to our original sketch. I think this needs to be half an edge. Nice. Look at that. We have the body. And we have the sides. And let's actually name that. That would be the right side. This one would be the left side. All right, now we can save that. Yep. All right, so I'm going to save these off, and then we're going to jump to Cura, and I'm going to show you how I slice it. All right, so here we are in Cura, and I already have these side pieces loaded up here. But what I am going to show you is how I slice this so that way the walls are a little shrunken in, even these bits right here, so that way you can actually have some tolerances and slide them into your print. So let's go to our preview, And you can see I've given it a horizontal expansion. This is in your walls. If you don't see this, you can right click, or you can actually click on the settings right here. And you can see right here in your wall settings, you have horizontal expansion. Okay, so we have that set to a negative 0.2 because that is a good tolerance that I've found works with setting prints inside of other prints and fitting pieces together, moving parts. So you can see the shadow, this shadow right here is actually the original model. You can see right there. I know that's a bit visually jarring, but watch when I flip it. There you go. That print doesn't quite go there. It has that minus 2.2 expansion. It kind of starts breaking after like 0.3, but I mean, you can even make it bigger, but in this point, it doesn't make sense to do that. And I've given this one some extra walls. You can see normally it's like 4, but we had it at 8 just because I wanted it to match my other one right here. So this is the rest of the bit we made. And so you can see that face that we built off of is right on the bed. We set that up correctly. We're not doing any supports, but you can see the walls here. I've given it 8 walls just to give it some extra strength. And you can see that goes all the way through, some dense infill. But right here is what we need to set up. For multi-material stuff, we can actually pause it at the layer we want to stick stuff in, at the layer we want to inset our stuff. Let's see, go up, 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 using arrow keys. So not that one. So after layer 20 is finished, before 21, so we're actually going to add a script, and I've already added it here. So pause at height. So pause layer 20, so it'll complete 20. Keep the motors engaged. You need to check that box. So that way when you start sticking stuff in your prints, it will actually keep the bed engaged and not just slop around. So you definitely want to keep those engaged. I said a display text of inset your left side because that's what's the side you're going to put in, and a beep length of 6 seconds. So we're going to do that, and I messed with something, so we're going to reslice that. And there we go. So once it hits there, you put your stuff in, and then you keep going, and it'll print the next layer, and it'll actually fuse those layers together. It'll fuse your inset piece to the rest of it because it's just going to go right on top. So that's very nice. You don't have to glue it in or anything, and you don't even have to use support materials because you're going to be sticking stuff there. And it'll go up, it'll finish the print, and then when this is done, I would actually glue something into the middle right here. So you're going to put some glue there, and then inset your next piece on top of all that. All right, let's go print it.
Now, while you guys weren't looking, I actually went back and added some
Tolerance. Okay, we have printed it overnight, and you saw, we put it together. It came out great. It is way meatier than I thought it would be, but that's not a bad thing. I am loving this. You can see it was a little slippery getting some stuff in there. You need definitely a two-hand operation, but works great. This is not going anywhere. This is solid. No. Anyway, I like this. Custom. We designed it, what, an hour? Printed it overnight, and yeah, it is good to go. You can always like sand it down to get a nicer finish on here. So this turned out pretty good. So thank you, Yeti, for the inspiration. We learned about that curves that we did the halves and the doubles, starting with 4, 2, 1.5 an inch. This is a very well designed piece that I am hoping we can incorporate into future designs as well. Especially this little bit right here. Yeah, I think this right here makes the design. Like the name, the simple lettering, and just like the clever little element completes the design of something that's very simple, but I think really cool. All right, that's all I got for you today. I hope that was entertaining and at least a little bit useful. But this multi-material thing I'm really interested in, especially if your printer only does one color at a time. Mine does, but I don't know if you like Pokemon, but there's this new app out, and I have been very interested in trying to replicate those coins, so maybe we'll put out a video about that. But we will see you next time, and have a good day.